Yep. So I just have a question to the management at Waratahs. I just did a bit of a quick math, right? Before starting this video. Literally took me about 60 seconds to get the stats. So the Crusaders, for the last 9 rounds of Super Rugby, has conceded, on average, 8.6 penalties. Okay? And on average, they've scored 5.1 tries every game. Now, with 8.6 penalties conceded, probably half of that going to be in your half of the field where you can actually kick the penalty, right? So, let's do a little bit of maths, okay? Let's say 8.6, let's just round that up to 5 penalties are kickable. Okay? And you have a 100% goal kicker. Okay? So 5 times 3, that's 15 points. The Crusaders on average going to give you 15 points from penalties per game. The fact that they're scoring 5 tries, the Crusaders on average are going to be scoring 25 points against you. So please enlighten me this strategy of going to Christchurch and kick penalties when you already know on your statistics that this is not going to be a winning strategy. Could someone please explain this to me? How did they come up to this strategy? How did they even, what did they even talk about going into this game? Oh yeah, let's kick a bunch of penalties. What is our expected points kicking penalties against the Crusaders? I don't know. Let's just try and see, right? How many points of tries are the Crusaders going to be scoring on average? How many points are we expected to concede against the Crusaders? I don't know. Let's just go to Christchurch and find out. And you know what's really upsetting to me? It's not the fact that we lost. It's the fact that we have all the talent in the world to beat this Crusaders team. When we play rugby, we actually look better. Especially in the first half. We were able to score tries against the Crusaders with 14 players on the field. Are we physically weaker? Are we smaller than the Crusaders? Are we slower than them? Why do we think that we need to kick penalties when we, in every other metric of the game, we are just as good as the Crusaders? And yet, before the game even started, we have mentally taken the loss. Not just mentally taken loss, we have strategically taken the loss when you literally could look at the stats and said, this strategy is not going to win us the game. We need to do something else. Before the kickoff. So, a lot of you say that I'm too critical. I would like to offer, right, a solution to this problem. And, watching this game did remind me of a movie, one of my favorite movies of all time, called Gattaca, right? Gattaca, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's one of the greatest movies, one of the most inspirational movies you're probably ever going to see. So, one of the scenes, so essentially, just quick rundown. 2 brothers, one of them is a little bit weak, right? He's born with genetic problems. The other brother is genetically modified by scientists before he was born, so he's literally perfect. And these 2 brothers have a competition where they go out for a swim into the open ocean. And then obviously it's a game of chicken. Whoever chickens out and turns around, because you don't want to drown, is the loser, right? They have this complaint. Obviously the brother with the perfectly engineered genetics always wins this match, always wins this swim. And then one day, the weaker brother goes, look, I've had enough of you. Let's go for a swim. So I just want to show you this clip. All right, I might get it copyrighted, but I just want to show you this part. So they're swimming out, and then the brother, the stronger brother is like, my God, I'm gonna die here. Let's turn around. Hey, younger brother, let's not die here. How'd you get so fit, right? And maybe we can just listen to this response.
How have you done any of this? We have to go back. It's too late for that. We're closer to the other side. What other side? You want to drown us both? You want to know how I did it? This is how I did it, Anton. I never saved anything for the swim back.
So the way that the weaker brother to beat his genetically superior bigger brother, or younger brother actually in this case, he didn't save anything on the way back. And it was this point, his younger brother realized he was beaten. Not physically, but mentally. And what really makes me sad is that our players are not even the weaker brother. We're just as good as the Crusaders. And yet we're just not willing. We're not willing to take that little bit extra. We're just not willing to fight from the start to the end. And we go into the game already mentally lost by picking a strategy that we think it's going to make it easier for us to win the game. Look what the Western Force did last week against the Crusaders. No penalties, kept the pressure on. What happened? Look at the Wallabies against the Springboks, world champions in Johannesburg. Something that hasn't been done for 60 years. No need to kick penalties. 22 points behind. Backed themselves. Historic comeback win. And how many decades have we tried this strategy with all of the Australian teams? We try to go to New Zealand. We think we're going to take an easy win. Let's pray that the referee's on our side tonight. Is Nick Berry Australian? Yes, he is. Is he a Queenslander? Yes, he is. Maybe he'll help us. Let's hope that the Crusaders give us 10, 12 penalties that we can just kick all of them and win the match with 30 points. Never going to happen. Never going to happen in New Zealand. Because the Kiwis, they don't want to let their fans down. They love playing rugby. They know that the rugby god is cruel. He hath no mercy for the weak. And if you're going to show up and praying for the referee to do your biddings, it's not going to happen. Anyway, hopefully, yeah, I don't know. No one's ever listened to this, but let's just move on. So, one of the things I thought was really, really good, and for this game was the overhead spider camera. They didn't do it for every scrum. I really hope that they did for this every scrum, because I thought this was actually really good presentation for the scrummaging as part of this, part of the sport. And it just gives, you start from the side maybe, and then you switch the spider cam on top. And I just think this was such a refreshing and new experience for the fans, and it gives a lot of insight on what's happening in the scrum. Now, this is literally, I think this was literally his first scrum of the game, and the scrum just engaged. You don't need to be an expert to look at this and see that the Waratahs gonna completely shatter in this scrum. You can see that the Crusaders, how perfectly aligned they are, right? Not perfectly, but how well adjusted the line and they are. And you can look at the Waratahs disconnected. The number 8 is disconnected. The loose head prop is already pushing at an angle, and his hips is off to the side and is not aligned with his lock. And then if we just play a little bit, Fletcher Newell, obviously the All Blacks tight head, absolutely dominated the area under that under his chest, and Kailea has already given up his body position on the engagement by being on a bit of being on an angle and not aligning with his lock. You see now his lock is actually pushing him away, and he folds in, and my goodness, that the whole first half was pretty tough. Kailea against Fletcher Newell. They actually had to bring on Botha earlier on. Did they bring on the whole new front rowers a bit earlier? I know Botha came on early, but this was pretty brutal. The second half was a bit better. Albeit Fletcher Newell was off the field later on in the second half, but it's yeah. I think that presentation is really good, and I think that the Waratahs scrum, like you can already tell the difference between the two sides. How tired the Crusaders are. This is their bread and butter, and just just being able to, you can just see how everyone is transferring the weight straight down the middle, straight through the spines, and the Waratahs are already, you don't really need to yeah, like literally just from that engagement, you can already tell the scrum is going to fall apart for the Waratahs, and there's plenty of work for them to do there. The stability of the scrum is just not there for the Waratahs for the whole season. When it comes to lineouts, it was a lot of contest there as well. I thought both teams' more was decent, and the Crusaders did score more try, and I didn't think the Waratahs more was particularly bad. But I do think that there was a lot of pressure for the lineouts for the Waratahs. Needs to work on there quite a bit. Outside of that, especially in the first half, I thought the Waratahs, when they ran the ball, when they spread the ball out wide, they looked dangerous. The post-contact offloads looked good. Just the depths in the backline, the options that are available for the 10 to pick from was really, really good as well. There was finally also a crossfield kick this week from Depressini, pinpoint accurate to Sid Harvey, and that was immediately a try, and we didn't see that against Moana Pacifica last week, so I gave that as positive. Something that we didn't do against Moana Pacifica in a team where probably could have taken a bit more risk there. And this week we did it, and it worked. But yeah, just I like to see that. That's a one big positive. And we saw a bit of a chip over the top from Debussini as well. But just it's good that they're trying, and I think they just have to keep trying that. It's not going to work immediately, but the fact that they are trying, it's really, really good. And just moving away from that up and under game, is really good as well. I would like to see them do some of these little crossfields or little kicks more geared towards Jorgensen. Because Jorgensen is like one of the fastest players, not just in Australia, probably in the world. And just try a few kicks specifically planned for him, whether it's middle of the park or out wide, or or whether it's a grubber or over the top sort of thing. I think that'll pay a lot of dividends for the Waratahs there. If they keep working towards that, will be really nice to see. Yeah. So the One Eye Crusaders showed up in sold out at the stadium. But yeah, I mean they came out with a hard card. They hit a brick wall early on in the first half. They were after Waratahs kicked the penalties, the Crusaders did what the Crusaders always do, try to hit back at you, roll their sleeves up, and they hit a brick wall a number of times. Even against the 14 players, they weren't able to run free. I know there's a lot of injuries, but he really, they persisted. They didn't kick, they kept on pushing, they kept on going for the tries, they kept on backing themselves on their set piece, and eventually they wore down the Waratahs. And I think maybe the Waratahs kicking game was probably a little bit, maybe at times a little bit too much, especially in the second half. The Crusaders were pretty happy to run, and then just making you defend, and then eventually they found holes with their big runners. Fainga'anuku, a page out of Rassi Erasmus for put it back in the forward. There was an interview before the game with Sir Richie, right, the greatest All Black, the greatest rugby player of all time. Sir Richie actually said he didn't like it because he didn't want the backs to find out. It's actually really easy to play forward. And he didn't want the backs to think that they can play forwards too. Classic Sir Richie. Just gotta love the guy. And then so Fainga'anuku, he did give away a penalty, one of the penalties that were kicked from the Waratahs early on. But he also did do his part as a forward. He scored a pick and go try in the second half, which is, I think, probably the most dangerous part from him, is that the speed and athleticism he brings in tight areas for, considering he's a winger. And just that danger always possesses with him, lurking around the ruck, and suddenly he's already positioned to be a mismatch, right? I think this is actually really smart because, he's a winger, and then being around the rucks all the time, everybody in front of him are props. He's always looking at props, locks, and then there's always a mismatch. And all he needs to do is look up and see someone is being a bit careless, and off he goes. And I think it's quite smart, quite brilliant. But yeah, giving a penalty right out of the breakdown, like immediately, was not a good look. But he did redeem himself later on in the game. So yeah, let's look at match stats of the game. So 5 tries to 2 for the Crusaders. Again, how much did you say the Crusaders' average try scoring was? Oh, that's right, 5.11. Yeah, 5.11. I mean, just right on the dot on how many tries they're gonna the average try scoring amount. 464 run meters to 474 for the Waratahs. 14 turnovers for both teams conceded. 150 tackles made for the Crusaders. 25 missed tackles. 200 tackles made for the Waratahs. Defended quite a bit. 32 missed tackles there for the Tars. 31 kicks for the Crusaders. 22 for the Waratahs. Is that even right? I felt like the kicking might be 31, 22 for the Waratahs. No conversions missed or penalty missed for both teams. 725 kick meters for the Crusaders. 459 for the Waratahs. Lineouts, no loss for the Crusaders. 4 loss for the Waratahs out of 7. Scrum, no losses for the Crusaders. 1 loss for the Waratahs there. And there was a turnover. That was a bit unfortunate. The fee got hit one of their own players' foot and bounced forward to the Crusaders, and they just moved forward. Not only did they got a penalty, but they also got a turnover. So yeah, pretty dangerous there. Yes, 7 penalties conceded overall for the Crusaders. What was the average? 8.6. So this is lower than the average. Guess what? You know, you actually can't get penalties if you don't pressure them enough. So this is below their average penalty count, and only 3 penalty kickable inside the Crusaders half. And you know, we kicked 2 of those. You know, I don't know why it even. Yeah, I don't know why that's even a strategy to be considered to begin with. 13 penalties considered for the Waratahs, 2 yellow cards for against the Waratahs, and 1 yellow card against the Crusaders. There was a high shot from David Havili as the yellow card against the Crusaders. One of the Waratahs penalty was a repeater penalties in front of the goal line to Fainga'anuku, and then I think the second one was a what's the second one? I think both of them were cynical penalties. They're not really dangerous stuff. Oh no. The second one was cynical, but there was a bit of a fight. Amata Cero looked like he actually threw a punch. I'm surprised they didn't get him off a red for that. But there was a bit of a push and shove, and the referee said that it was cynically slowing the ball down before that push and shove. And the yellow card so 2 yellow cards for essentially ill discipline, not actually dangerous maneuvers. So yeah, let's just quickly go through the points summary of the game. 3 minutes in, Fainga'anuku, the newly minted number 7, gives away a penalty at the breakdown, and then Waratahs take the 3. And then I like text a bunch of people. I'm like, do I even bother watching this after kicking the 3? But and then after the second penalty, 8 minutes in, I thought they should really gone for it, because the Crusaders really tried to breach the Waratahs defense and they weren't able to do so. And I think that that was a great opportunity to just break their spirit, right? Like the Crusaders try to breach your defense and they just completely got smothered out. And then they give away another penalty, and this is where you really take it to the next level. And we're taking out a 3, 6 points to 0. And sure enough, after that, the Crusaders backed themselves again. They kind of like some good hands between them, and eventually it went down one side of the field, swung back to the other, and then McLeod ran into the corner. 7 points to 6. Crusaders taking the lead. So after this one, there was a yellow card against the Amata Cero, and then despite the yellow card, the Waratahs backed themselves. It looked like there was a Crusader try before this, but there was blocked players. There was 2 tries disallowed against the Crusaders for people being grabbed in the rocks or being blocked in a running line. So Crusaders got the little shenanigans got picked up by the referee, which I really like, right? Because nowadays the referees, they rush through the decisions, and then little things like players getting grabbed in the rocks and then getting blocked are getting overlooked because they're not checking for the try. And I really like that Nick Berry actually looked and checked, which is it's actually the right way to go. And yeah, you get booed by the fans at home, but who cares, right? I'm cheering at home as a Waratahs fan. I'm sure all the New South Welshmen here are cheering, so you just gotta do it. Like, you gotta make the right decisions. You can't just rush through and then having crucial moments, try scoring moments being make the wrong decision being made by the referee. So 34 minutes, despite having played in the bin, the Waratahs were putting pressure on into the Crusaders 22. Like I said, the Crusaders weren't that great. And there was a crossfield kick from Debrasini, and then it was just perfectly placed for Sid Harvey. All he had to do is put the ball down. 17 points to 13. Just before halftime, the Crusaders backed themselves. They had a penalty to kick 3 to close the game to 10 points to 13, but they wanted to take the lead to show intent, right? It's really important to be mentally. It's probably more important to be mentally like dominant and asserting than kicking 3 points, in my opinion. So the Crusaders did what they always do to try to score before halftime. They went for the line out, and the Moore just worked like a charm, pushed in for the try, 14 points to 13. Second half, the Crusaders came out hard as well, like they always do. There was repeated penalties against Waratahs, and Fainga'anuku got sent off with the yellow card, and then 49 minutes, I think it was a tap and go. They just, another ruck, and then Fainga'anuku looked up, bunch of lazy forwards, not paying attention, pick and go. There was like 3 players try to grab him. He rummed over for the try, 21 points to 13. 55 minutes, the Crusaders really starting to run a little bit. There was they tried to counter attack outside their own 22, just spread the ball wide. McLeod ran down the field, stepped in field, a bunch of missed tackles, and then 28 points to 13. They ticked the scoreboard up. 58 minutes, Havili, high shot on Jorgensen, and got sent off for the yellow. This was the opportunity for Waratahs to come back. So 65 minutes, there was a scrum, 40 meters out. Samu picked and go, got quite a bit of distance, some pick and drive, some more running. Teddy Wilson, the number 9, reserve, came on. He looked up. George Bauer was running with his back turned. He wasn't paying attention. And then Wilson just ran straight through the little ruck gap. Went in for the try. 28 points to 20. 68 minutes. The Crusaders come back with more pressure. Midfield. There was a nice little backdoor play from Johnny McNichol. Was just outstanding. Outstanding for the Crusaders. He actually he's the one that received the little backdoor ball from, I think, Braden Eno. And then just like a little quick, he had a rush defense was on him as well. Quick flat pass to Macca Springer. And obviously the rush defense, if you can't shut down the ball at the 13 channel, the fact that you rushed out, you've left the gap open behind you. So he quickly got the ball away to Springer. He cut back in through the gap. 35 points to 20. The Crusaders. And and after that, neither team was able to score. At the end, it looked like Havili had scored one. There was a line out, there was a more, and then there was a crash midfield, and Havili picked and go. But again, there was a player holding the Crusaders were holding one of the Waratahs defender in the ruck. Couldn't break through to defend Havili. To be honest, he might not be able to defend Havili, right? If he didn't hold him in, because Havili is quite good, and he, with that distance, he may not be stopped. But yeah, it is what it is. Another try was disallowed for the Crusaders, but yeah, final score 35 points to 20. Let me know your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe, and see you guys tomorrow. Super round. Thanks for watching. Cheers.